Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours for April 5th, 2022. I spend time on Tuesdays and Fridays answering questions from people about their job search, about hiring more effectively, about management, leadership, a whole host of different things. And sometimes people send questions to me in advance. Uh, you do it by emailing me at thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. In the subject line, you put the phrase office hours. This way I know what it's about and I can organize it for the show. You can also message me through LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/, the big game hunter. And mention that you watch the live stream. I just like knowing I'm helping folks. Now, the live stream shows up on LinkedIn, as I alluded to, and you can check the event schedule just to confirm that I'm doing it at that time. I know one time at the end of April 2022, I'm doing someone else's show, so I'm going to move it around a little bit. But normally it's Tuesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, if you have a question, you can upload it to me through LinkedIn. I also appear on YouTube at JobSearchTV.com. It's done as a live stream. And then on Facebook as a Facebook Live, it's on my page, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. You can go there. You can message me with questions just like you can on the other platforms. And I start off each show with a coffee toast. And it's for those of you who are struggling right now. You've been out of work for a while, you're veteran individuals, you're just not landing yet. And you're feeling discouraged. You're staring at your bank account depleting, and it hurts, and you're not quite sure what to do. Yes, I can talk with you about coaching, but my encouragement today is about perseverance. People will persevere. You will land that next job. Um, I'll tell you, if you need help from me, reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you some advice about situations. So, a toast to you. And I've got a ton of questions to respond to. I'm not sure I'm going to get all of them, but again, you can put your questions about job search, hiring better, management, leadership, or advice about a particular workplace issue into chat. I'd be very happy to answer your questions. Now, let's go to the first one I have. And I've got to scroll up here. Is it better to wear glasses during a job interview so people think you're smarter? Now, they'll discover soon enough whether you are smarter. So I wouldn't necessarily encourage that. I'll also tell you that sometimes with glasses, if you're doing video, and sometimes if you're doing in-person interviews where the lighting isn't great, you're dealing with glare off the glasses that can be a problem. Like if you look carefully, you can see a little bit of glare on my glasses. And I don't even have, I use a ring light on days like today where it's not particularly sunny. I have a window directly in front of me, and glare on the glasses sometimes shows up, and thus they can't completely see your eyes. As someone who's not usually aware of glasses, you don't know this, but it doesn't really matter if you look smarter. You have to be smarter too. So, fundamentally, I know what you're trying to do, doesn't work. The people who wear glasses, like for example, there's talent on TV that wears glasses, and they are smart and they look smart. It's a congruent look. If you can't back it up, don't think the glasses are going to make a difference to you. Let's go to the next question. Is a first job in a new team without seniors or lead developers a recipe for disaster? So this looks like a technology person. They're taking their first job. Um, there's no formal org structure, no formal leadership, and they're concerned. And I think even without the titles, there are people who you can spot as being the seniors in the group, the lead talent. The people in your group know who they are and often defer to them. They make the decisions. They've been around the block a few times. It's not about their age, it's about their capabilities. And as you interview with this firm, I would tell you, ask them point blank. I understand you don't have leads here and you don't have seniors or managers. Like, who makes decisions? How are they made? Who do I go to for advice? You know, who do I have to follow in situations? And what happens if there's a disagreement? Like, who do I listen to under those circumstances? Get some advice from management because it's not necessarily a recipe for disaster, but unless you know what to do, it's going to be a recipe for confusion that you, as a newcomer in the field, shouldn't have. So that's the way I would approach it. I think you'll do fine. It's not a recipe for disaster if you're smart about it. Is it better to fire a low performing employee or take significant resources to develop them? Neither. So you're giving an either or false dichotomy choice as though there's only two possibilities. I think what you can do is make a statement to them. I'm not satisfied with your performance. Here's where I think you need to improve. And if you don't, then frankly, we're going to have to part ways. So these are the resources I would expect you to work with in order to get better and put the onus on them. You don't have to take it on. And I would say get human resources involved with this if you have a human resources organization, and have them present and do a performance improvement plan for what this person needs to do in order to overcome this problem and to have it left behind, forgotten about, so that they know what the target is, because doing better isn't a good enough target. You have to be specific about where they're failing and what they can do to improve. And it's not up to you necessarily to do the work to get them to improve, because you've got your own job. And if you're managing this person, your job is going to be coordinating projects, programs, tasks, people, and they can do more of it. So they can come to you for advice. If they're not sure, they can, schedule time with you, but it's not an either or. You can put it on them to improve without it being taking significant resources to develop them. Let me just do a quick check here. And I'm just going to remind you folks, bear with me. If you've got a question about job search, hiring, management, leadership, or want advice about a particular workplace issue, put it into chat. This way I can answer your question on today's show. Also, my website, thebiggamehunter.us, there you can schedule time for a free discovery call, a coaching session, visit my blog with more than 12,000 searchable posts, find out about my courses, which are really very good, and my books and guides to job hunting. Also, JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. More than 7,000 videos there. It's one of the largest channels on job search. And I have some other things there as well. And my podcast, No BS Job Search Advice Radio, is number one on Apple Podcasts for job search, more than 2,300 episodes. Now, for the longest time, I had the number two show, which had over 800, but I haven't paid attention to that one. It may still be number two, but this one is enormous. It's almost 3 times as large as that one. So subscribe there. On Spotify, it's available as a video podcast. It's also available on Amazon Music, Google Play, or almost any place you listen to podcasts. Okay. Let's move ahead. How do I explain to potential employers that I can only accept a job if my personal project doesn't take off. I don't think you should do that. Um, I think you have to set a what I'll call drop dead date by which this project has to have taken off by. And I wouldn't suggest interviewing with employers until a month or two before that, because it's not going to happen instantly that you're going to land another job. Like if you work in technology, you're going to have multiple interviews, for example. Same thing with accounting and finance and other fields. So you'll know whether this project is going to take off. But if you tell them, I'm only going to accept this job if my personal project doesn't take off, well, they're going to not think you're really interviewing because they need someone like now or very soon, and you're not ready. It's like dating and saying, I'm not really ready yet, but you seem like a nice person, so I thought I would go out with you and practice. How would that sit? Not real well. Same thing with an employer. They don't want to hear about the personal project, which, by the way, you can continue to do on the side if you decide to join a firm. But from their standpoint, if you tell them this, I politely end the conversation and end the interview. So don't do it. Are employers less likely to contact you to arrange an interview if you do not provide a phone number when the application does not explicitly ask for it? Like if you have to email the resume, put it on the resume because they want to call you if they're interested in talking with you. Why are you playing hard to get? You want it to be easy for them. Yes, they are going to be less likely to contact you to arrange an interview because you're making it harder for them. They can't text you, they can't call you. You have to be on email at the time that they're scheduling, and that's going to lead to back and forth that's annoying. So, we'd like to have a chance to speak with you. Are you available Tuesday at 4:00? No, I can do 4:30. No, I'm booked at that time. How about Thursday at 8:30? Oh, you think to yourself, I'm at the gym at 8:30. I can't do that. Or I'm commuting to work. I can't do that. How about 9:15, 9:30? See, no one wants to go through this. I know I use a scheduling program when I schedule people because I hated this back and forth that took place with scheduling coaching sessions. So don't do it. Make it easy. Put it on the resume and let them call you, let them text you, make it your mobile number so they can reach you under all circumstances. Okay. Why does HR select the absolute wrong candidates all the time and turn away the best candidates? And this person's a superintendent and says, I get new employees on remote sites that do not have a clue. HR doesn't hire people. There's someone else in the organization who's actually doing the hire. Could be the business owner, could be the investor group behind this. Whoever it is, it's not HR. They're screening resumes. They're doing a preliminary interview. They're confirming that this person says they know something related to what was in a job description. Obviously, it seems like you're not a part of this, but other people are. The other people don't have the clue. I would suggest contacting the HR people and say, I'm getting frustrated because new employees are being hired and they don't know what they're doing. And the result winds up being you're spending money on things that you're not getting return on. And the result is, it's harder on me. And I know that's not what you're trying to do. So maybe I could give you some questions or give the owners some questions that they could ask and what the answer should be. And this will help do some better screening so they're not hiring people who are a waste. Why do some companies have a no feedback policy when they reject candidates? This person gives a couple of examples. Doesn't really matter who the firms are. The reason is pretty clear cut, and that is people argue with them. But they never asked me about that. But they did it indirectly and you didn't spot it. All that happens if they give you feedback is you argue. And that becomes an issue for them. It wastes their time. It's emotionally draining. I know you're upset and you want to know why you got turned down so that you can improve. What's in it for them? Except headaches. They don't want headaches. They just want you to go away. You weren't good enough for them to want to hire you. So they do it because they don't want to get into arguments. They don't want you as a consumer of their products or services to be angry at them, even though by doing this you are. But if you get into arguments with them, you'll be even angrier. And that's not good for business. If the hiring manager says for sure that HR will contact you tomorrow for feedback, however, the process usually takes around 2 weeks, does that mean you were rejected? Possibly. It could also mean that they're going to schedule you back for another interview because the 2-week process doesn't mean that everything was decided at your first meeting. It could mean that, they have you talk to multiple people and they want to schedule you back for another round. So yes, it may mean you were rejected. And yes, it may mean you're getting another round of interviews for them to evaluate you. What questions should I ask a prospective employer if I'm being asked to lead an existing software project? Okay, so there's quite a few. So I'm going to hit on a couple of major points. And one is, what kind of budget do I have? How large a team? What's the deliverable for this project? Where is it currently in the pipeline? What quality is my team? Like, how are they seen organizationally? Now, no one's going to tell you you're taking over the worst group on the planet. Just doesn't happen. They're always going to lie to you about that kind of stuff. Can I meet my team to get a sense of what they're capable of and talk with them about what's been going on? Was there a predecessor to me in this role? And thus, what did they do well? Why did they leave? Were they failing in anything that we need to improve upon? What am I stepping into? Budget size? Yeah. How much of the budget has been spent so far? Things along those lines give you a sense of the terrain that you're stepping into. And remember, that's where it is today. You may be joining 3-5 weeks from now. How much of the spend will be done? How much further behind might they be without someone in that role? Again, some things to consider as you go into this. I love this one. My bonus is an annual bonus, and it's rumored to be issued the first or second week of April. Like now, it's a large percentage of my comp. I also have an offer on the table for another position that I'm very excited about. If I were to put in my notice before they deposit my bonus, what's the chance that they'll actually pay it out? Are they required to? So even as an employee, you have an employee handbook that talks about this kind of stuff. Go look at the handbook for what they commit to doing. If you don't have a handbook, contact your state labor department. So in this way, you get a sense of what the regulations are for someone like you. Every state is different. What exists in New York and California and Massachusetts may not be the same in North Carolina, Georgia, or Oklahoma. So this is something that you need expert advice about. If you know someone who's a labor lawyer, they might be able to advise you. Minimally, the State Department of Labor is an organization that will have an answer for you. And then you follow up by saying, and if they don't pay me, what happens then? This way, understand it may take years for you to get paid. I know when I left a firm and I was owed commission, I left with very little of my commission money left behind, and I wanted it. So I filed a complaint with the New York State Department of Labor, and I knew it would take a year before a case would be heard. But I'd gotten out the preponderant portion of the money, and what was left was maybe $1,000 or $1,500 of the what had been 40 or 45,000 that had been owed to me. So when the hearing took place, I went to the Labor Department offices. The examiner was on video, and this is going back years. And they were doing, the examiner was in Albany, New York, hearing this case in New York. The business owner that I was associated with and I both attended. He made his case, I made mine. There was a mediator that was also present who afterwards said, "You'll get it, but he just wants some concession from you." And I paused and I said, "How about $100?" He said, and then they said, "I'll see what I can do." They agreed to it. We were done. You want to just know what is involved in your state. And if you're right and they don't pay you, remember it's going to take time for you to get the money. If you can, wait. Wait until they pay out the bonus and it's in your account, and then leave on very short notice so you can get to the new firm promptly. When is the best time during a job interview to ask what their policy on travel reimbursement is? The answer is when they bring up travel. So, for example, if you're in a job where you're expected to travel 80%, for example, or you're a salesperson, you're going to be in your car a lot, and they tell you this in the course of the interview, you follow up by saying, one question I have for you is, how does travel reimbursement work? So this is a natural follow-up question to them making that statement. If you think that would be rude or pushy, you're wrong. What it is normal. So you ask that question as soon as the topic of travel surfaces. Because, for example, on the 80% travel jobs, like, I used to do recruiting for a consulting firm where people were on the plane Monday morning and home Thursday evening, and they were on a plane. And, in effect, they were floating money unless the firm booked the reservation, which they often didn't do. So when people would interview, I'd ask them to ask so they would hear for themselves, how does travel reimbursement work for the road warriors at your firm? So they would hear the answer and expect the firm to follow up. But they'd heard it directly from the firm, which I think is always the best way. So when to ask? As soon as it surfaces in the interview. And again, if you've got a question about job search, hiring better, management leadership, or need advice about a workplace issue, put it into chat. Okay. I'm just going to mention I have quite a few more questions. I'm going to cover as many as I can. But today I need to wind up at the bottom of the hour at 1:30 Eastern because I have a session at 1:45 that I need a few minutes of last minute preparation for. So I'll cover as much as I can today. Under what circumstances should an employee decline an exit interview? I think the simplest way to answer this is when you can't contain your anger and annoyance for something within the organization, because it's not like they're going to change something based upon you telling them that this person is horrible or this manager is awful or any of that nonsense. So Don't do the exit interview if you can't hold back your annoyance and anger. If you can do it. And they may try and prod you into saying something critical, but don't take the bait. Hey, look, I've enjoyed working here, but someone presented me with a terrific offer, and I'm going to be moving on. What kind of offer? I'm not going to go into it. It's more money, a higher level position. Um, I like the team here. I like the team there. The work, seems very good. More responsibility, more pay, bigger bonus, and just leave it at that. Keep it all on the surface. They may ask you to critique things there. And I would pause for a second and go, do you really expect I'm going to criticize people here who've been so good to me? No, I'm not going to do that. But if you can't contain yourself, very simply say, I've got a tight schedule for completing my work, so I'm going to politely decline doing the exit interview. Please don't treat this as criticism or complaint. I'm just very busy until I leave. When is the best time during a job? Oh, sorry, I already did that one. How will companies and CEOs react to employees quitting because of bad management? They aren't. They're going to listen to you as a complainer because you're going out, because this is really the same question worded a little bit differently. People want to go out with guns blazing, criticizing all those awful people they're leaving behind. My manager was terrible. I really hated working for them. They were mean. They don't care. You're gone. They need to make that person happy because they don't want to be caught short. And if you think your criticism is going to suddenly make them go, huh, maybe we should get rid of them and keep her, keep him, whatever. It doesn't happen. So swallow your pride and just accept the idea that CEOs and companies believe these people are better managers than you think they are. And what do you know about management anyway? Maybe they're getting stuff done and you don't like the way that they're getting stuff done. Maybe the reason you have all these tight deadlines is because they're given tight deadlines by their leadership. It may not be them, but the people that you're wondering about how they'll react, the CEOs and the company presidents and the like, that are issuing these mandates that are making everything come across in tight circles. So they will not react because they do not care. They just want to get the results that they want to get. And unfortunately, you don't like it. So move on. Congratulations on your new position. Nothing is going to change. So next time I'll be back more. I'll be on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. Hope you enjoyed today's Career Coach Office Hours. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the like button. Same thing on Facebook or on LinkedIn. Click the like button, share it. Do something that lets people know that it was worthwhile and you thought this was helpful. I also want to mention that you can send questions to me through LinkedIn. My page there is linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. By email to me at thebiggamehunter@gmail.com, and in the subject line, put the phrase office hours. This way I can address it in the next show. And again, visit my website at thebiggamehunter.us. And there's just a lot there that's going to help you in the blog. You can also schedule time for coaching, find out about my courses, my books, my guides, and so much more that will help you. And subscribe to JobSearchTV on YouTube. It also happens to be available as an app on Amazon. You can watch me on TV that way. And subscribe to No BS Job Search Advice Radio and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.